So when you hear someone's autistic for the first time, it tends to be what you think. It tends to be sort of almost all you start thinking about out with them. So a bit about me. I got diagnosed with ADHD and autism at the same time. So for me, what's autistic and what's from ADHD gets kind of wrapped up together. If I tell someone I'm autistic, they'll look at an ADHD behavior and think, oh, that's part of it. But what it is there's a reason why some people refer to it as ASD, or autism spectrum disorder. There's a whole range of things. You hear a lot of people toss about the line that everyone's a little autistic. According to my psychiatrist, it's not uncommon for everyone to exhibit a little behavior which can be associated with it, but to be sort of diagnosed, it's kind of that amped up a little, like that little. So I don't like to think of myself as just, I'm someone who's autistic. I'm all these other things. I love big robots, the Pacific Rim movies. Oh, Jesus Christ, so much. Thanks to my dad, I know way too much about the Australian water network, and have even worked at 3 different sewage treatment plants. Not as bad as you'd think. Lovely sense of humor by the folks there. In high school, I was given an IQ test at 159. Sadly, those tend to drop with age, so who knows where we're at now. But you wouldn't know from any of my English writing results until someone worked out that if I'm typing on a computer as opposed to handwriting, I can actually edit what I'm writing as fast as I'm changing it in my head. I won't linger too much on that. When I first joined, we had to do a little about me slide. Don't try to read all of that now. But if anyone wants a copy of that later, without the garish orange border. So one of the things I like to try to phrase it is, they say sometimes that intelligence, particularly a technical one, is about pattern recognition, and this is where a lot of autistic folk have a lot of strengths. That being said, I have friends who are autistic, but they have no technical capability, but they're all still incredibly creative. So for me, I don't see a lot of difference between these two things. And again, don't try to read it exactly. But I see a lot of structured layout, clear. So for the you have a bit of Python code on the left, and the comprehensive rule set for the card game Magic: The Gathering on the right. In both cases, you have a discrete series of events you move through. I see these sorts of patterns all around in the world. It helps in a technical environment. Sometimes in the world, one of my strongest skills is just my ability to infer based on past information. It's one of the reasons why I lose an ability to kind of function if I don't understand the purpose of a task. And Andrew has had to sit down and occasionally explain to me, not what I'm doing, but why we're doing it, so I can start building inferences. It sometimes feels hard to articulate. There's been plenty of times where I've been talking with people and learned later that they've taken away a completely different message to what was there. It's one of the reasons why I favor text chats, why I favor things where I can read my words later and go, where was the other message in here? Sometimes I find it, sometimes I don't. But it means that I'm forever pondering, what words am I saying? Why am I using this word instead of that one? That one. Being diagnosed with autism later in life is incredibly difficult within Australia's current framework. The first psychiatrist I went to said, well, I exhibited all the signs because I actually had friends. I was not autistic. Now, that is, not a really healthy way to look at things. Some of my friends are autistic, others are used to dealing with neurodiverse people. But people. adult diagnosis is actually only a relatively recent thing, and not many, even mental practitioners, are sort of properly equipped and trained to do it properly. Properly, because it's one of those ones where a lot of behaviors also can belong to other areas as well. So it is a difficult thing, and it's why I always try to push for a greater awareness, because with greater awareness means people who have it, who are on the spectrum, can get the diagnosis. And to give you an idea, like as I said, I got diagnosed literally last year. So I've spent, I've gone through school, I've gone through 2 bouts at university, and gone through a workplace, and I spent most of the time feeling like I was almost speaking a different dialect to people, feeling like I had no willpower. It's partially coming into the ADHD as well. As I said, to me, that kind of wrapped up as hard, and feeling like I had no capability for discipline, that I was lazy. Having these diagnoses to me meant literally in a day I stopped feeling guilty about my interactions. I know it sounds kind of, arrogant, but it meant I knew it wasn't that I lacked these capabilities, but I expressed them differently, and I needed to talk, and I needed to approach differently, from housework to interactions. I knew it's not a failing of my personality, it's a difference in my neurochemistry. Balaji unfortunately stole the line I was going to use about different operating systems. But so just being able to articulate, just being able to tell people who are going there, it's like, look, sorry, I am on the spectrum, so I do process things differently, has made interactions with my friends, interactions with my family much easier and much less stressful. So that's one of the reasons why I really support trying to make people more aware of what it's like. At the end of the day, I try to remember. I'm sure many people here know Occam's razor. Yep, I'm seeing a few nods. I'm going to assume that's something for the crowd. Who here knows what Hamlin's razor is? Cool. Oddly enough, if anyone's seen House, he actually paraphrases it quite a lot. Never assume malice where ignorance will suffice. Or basically, the easiest answer is always, someone got it wrong, not someone was trying to be mean. If someone, says a phrase which can be interpreted as insulting, maybe they just, were being a little blunt, So if you can just try to keep that in mind, that's really all I had. I wasn't kidding when I said there was a couple of slides.